Hey everybody, welcome to part 3 of a 4-part series on the rec centers. Today we're going to cover the regional rec centers. Let's get started. That's right, this originally was supposed to be a 1-part series. And unfortunately, just because there's so much information and it really is the heart of the villages, it ended up being separated out into 4 parts. Now, if you haven't seen it yet, the first part really covers how to look things up, how to get the information about the rec centers and different various things about the rec centers. The next video covers the neighborhood rec centers and the villages rec centers. If you haven't watched that, go watch that because there's bits and pieces that carry through each one of these. This is part 3 where we're going to cover the regional rec centers, 5 of them. And then in part 4, we're going to cover another 5 of them. So it took a long time to shoot this and it's taken a long time to put it together. But during this time, we'll also cover some of the various pools. But I'd highly suggest that if you want to learn about the rec centers, the rec center system, how it works, jump back and start with 1. I'll put the links up, down, and down below and check those out. And well, let's just go ahead and get started here. We're going to start out with a map. Now, I'm going to explain to you later how we can actually find this map, but for now, let's just start getting into it. First one we're going to cover is Paradise, and this is up in the northern section, along with Hacienda, which is right across the street, jumping into Savanna, Lake Miona. Then we're going to finally get out with Colony Cottage, and then on the next part, we'll do Eisenhower, Rohan, Everglades, Fenny, and then finally, the last one to be built at this time was Isel. If you haven't done it already, go ahead and jump over to the Villages website, villages.com, and you can type in and search for recreational center types. We've covered already the villages, recreation centers, and the neighborhood recreation centers. And now we're going to cover the larger rec centers. And as it says here, recreation center types. And this is we're going to talk about regional rec centers. And you're going to see how there is like I've said before, that they have their own personalities. That's in the different types of pools and stuff. But there's also a lot of common things between them all. Now, their description, regional rec center complexes consist of multiple meeting rooms, arts and craft rooms, theaters, pools, outdoor facilities. And you're going to see as we go through all these how, although they're really the same in a lot of ways, they're really different. And there are some huge differences between the regional rec centers. So let's go ahead and jump into Paradise. Once again, the reason for me using these maps on the Villages website is because they're just great to use. I mean, they're totally interactive, and we'll show you how they work a little later. But so let's start with Paradise. And as you zoom in using these maps, you can get a lot of information just by looking at this map. Now, Paradise is spread out. It really spread out. If you look softball field up north, and then if you look down in the southeast, there's another green blotch that we'll talk about. But if you zoom into the main part of it, you can tell how many tennis courts, how many pickleball courts and such. But we're going to put the drone up right about here so you can get a view and take a look around, and you'll see exactly what some of this stuff is. The main part of Paradise is dead center right there. And as you can tell, it was the first, an older recreational center. And it has not a sport pool, but a family pool. You have to remember this was the first. But behind it, there is shuffleboard. And in that building right there, there is one of the few libraries and also some separate meeting rooms, along with the chapel. Now, up north is that square. The top of this video right now is that square green thing, which we're going to find out what that is. And right below us, there are a bunch of horseshoe pits. Really big thing right around here is the horseshoe pits. Now, the funny thing is, since this was one of the first ones, you only see 2 pickleball courts here. And there are 4 tennis courts. There's a basketball court right there. But you can tell in the beginning when these were being built, nobody even knew what the heck pickleball is. So these were probably added in afterwards. At the top of the screen, just out of the screen, is a softball field. And softball, as a lot of people know, is very big in the villages. And we'll get to see some pretty cool softball fields later on. They're pretty amazing. And this is Hilltop, which I haven't had a chance to play yet, but I'm sure it's a fun executive course. And the lake itself is pretty cool. It has a nice little walkway out there with a little covered area. And you end up right back where we started with the pool. But let's go ahead and jump back down and we'll take a look at Paradise Center from down below. As you can tell, it's an older building and it's been around for a while. It was actually remodeled, I believe, the interior of it 2006, but it wasn't a total remodel, and you're going to see a huge difference as we walk through and slowly get up to the newer rec centers. A big difference between what's inside of these rec centers and the way they've been modeled. So keep in the back of your head exactly what you're seeing right here. Now, as we walk in, this is the main building, and you'll see as we look in here, here's the stage, and I call it the ballroom or showroom. And you'll see that this theme of this stage and this type of area has been carried through to all the regional rec centers. You have big sliding doors in this room that divide it off into different sections, and we'll see what's behind that section right there on the left. But they also have, and I'm not sure this is the proper term, a warming room, not necessarily made for cooking, but if you decide to have a large party catered, they can come in and bring the food in there and warm it, not necessarily cook in there. But this hallway kind of gives you that Spanish kind of feel that Paradise has. No doubt. They put some pillars in, I think the wainscot when they did the remodel. And we'll make a left right here and take a look at the bathroom because I want you to see the difference. No, not the bathroom. This is just the ping pong room. And every time I've been in here, I've seen a lot of ping pong. We'll take a look in the other bathroom. Not that I have a fixation on bathrooms, but you can definitely tell how things have changed through the years between the bathrooms. This is just a storage room, but you have that famous bingo for sure. And we'll walk through this door and this will take you in the back. And I think this is the one I had the pictures of the bathroom in before we actually go outside. Yeah, I mean, it's a basic bathroom. They obviously put the fixtures in there kind of recently, but the rest of it's just Formica and definitely not what we'll see when we start heading down south a little bit. This back patio area, I'm sure at one point in time was used for something. Because remember, this was the first the large recreation center. This is the family pool. And you'll see the difference in the modeling and the design is it's a nice squared off pool, but open to family members. And of course, what would retirement be without shuffleboard? And the shuffleboards are built right up close. Now, if you look to the back of the shuffleboards right there is where the library is. It sits down below the other meeting rooms. I like this area back here. There's a nice walkway that goes all around the lake and this nice water fountain. But look at if you see those posts sticking up out of the water. It looks like they had docks all around the place. And I kind of think back, and I think this was built in the early 70s. So I can imagine this was a pretty big deal back then. And there's another dock down further. And some of these homes actually have docks where you can put little boats in. But there's the library. Now, this is an all-volunteer library, and everything's been donated to this library. So it's kind of unique, that's for sure. the chapel. And this is the building that sits right behind. So the library is right behind this. And this is where the multi-purpose rooms are. And you'll find that almost all the rec centers, major rec centers, have multi-purpose rooms. And this is a craft center. Jumping back outside, for a regional rec center, you don't find one with a postal center associated with it usually. They're usually in the neighborhood rec centers like we saw in part 1 and 2. Now here, these guys take their, and I say guys and girls, they take their horseshoes seriously. Let me tell you, I mean, these guys come with boxes of horseshoes, and you'll find out in a second that is just not your normal sand pit for horseshoes like in your backyard barbecue. And just around this corner is, I'm not even sure what that was, what this game is here. So I had to ask one of the local guys, and in typical village fashion, they're more than happy to tell you all about it. But also bocce, which I've played, and that is a lot of fun. So let's jump over with this guy and find out what's going on. I met a really nice guy, Jim. He's going to tell me about their horseshoe tournament, but I also asked him about this, and he's going to explain what this is real quick. So go ahead, Jim.
Okay, it's called petanque, and it's a little bit like bocce, except you use a smaller metal ball and you throw it backhanded. And I believe the scoring is the same, but it kind of sticks in this little bit of gravel that they have here. And I think the scoring is the same. I'm not sure.
Hey, that's good enough because I've never seen it. Now, over here, what I just took a picture of a second ago, we have, what's going on there?
We're having a horseshoe tournament today. We have one a month. We can take 56 people, 28 in the morning, 28 in the afternoon. We have 12 courts. We have Kentucky blue clay. We also have on Tuesday a sanction league. On Wednesday we have a fun league. On Thursday we have travel teams and play around the district here. And we would love to pick up more players and even women. We used to have 6 of the top 10 women used to pitch horseshoes.
Wow. So I was watching them shoot the toss over there, and I just know that they're pretty good, some of them.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The better players play in the afternoon. But what I want to stress first is that if you are 70 years old, you throw from 30 feet, not 40. And a lot of people don't play because they don't realize that.
Cool. And then when you said blue clay, that's where the we're us normal people, we're used to just throwing into sand or grass or dirt or whatever, and then so you have a special area where they're tossed to.
Yeah, the shoe sticks.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't slide.
All right.
Yeah, and we there's like 80 different kinds of horseshoes. People don't know that. And
all right, great.
A lot of fun.
Okay, thanks a lot. There you heard it. We learned something new here, and we learned all about the horseshoe tournament. Now, do you guys have a club? Is it on Facebook or anything like that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We are on the internet.
Okay. And what is it called?
Village Horseshoe Club.
Village Horseshoe Club. Go ahead and look it up if you like horseshoes. I'm sure they'd love to have you. Now, you may be wondering where I am right now, but I am still up in Paradise Recreation Center, and this has got to be one of the most spread out recreation centers around. And the area that I'm in right now, some of you may recognize it, is a dugout. Yeah, that's it. And they have their own softball field up here, which I'm sure some of you have heard that softball is pretty big in the area. And from what I understand briefly, there are 5 levels. There's a level for just about everybody, and then there's neighborhood teams, there's co-ed teams, and these softball fields are pretty much in perfect condition. Well, that's it for the softball field, and then I'm going to run down to something that's pretty cool that's attached to Paradise. I'll see you right down there. Now I'm going to show you something that's definitely not at every other recreation center, and that is this. Archery. Barring Robin Hood, I have not one idea about archery, but I am sure if it's anything like the villages, there are plenty of ways to start archery, and there's plenty of ways to learn archery. There's a really nice lady that stopped me, just like the villages, and she volunteered to explain exactly what's going on here and what the archery is all about. And this is Anna.
Hi.
And so you were explaining that you can either be part of a club or not part of a club.
Correct.
And if you want to join the club or you want to play on the range, play on the range.
Home on the range.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Any villager can use this range from sun up to sundown once they've taken our safety course.
Okay, so you have to come in, you have to take the safety course, and that's put on by the recreation center or the other group?
No, it's put on by the recreation center, and it's all volunteers, and we have the class here on Wednesdays. You have to be here at 12:30, but you have to sign up ahead of time at Paradise Recreation.
Right, so you definitely want to investigate this before you actually show up.
Right.
And do you have a bow here?
Yeah, it's up here.
Let's check this out, because these are not normal bows.
I call those bows with training wheels.
Oh, these right here? Okay, this is a bow without training wheels.
This is a recurve bow.
Okay. And this is what you use?
This is what I use.
All right. And then is there a range, a person that's in charge of the range here during the
Not
day?
Not during open shooting. If it's an organized activity, there's always a range master here.
Oh, okay. And obviously, do they ever shoot with them way in the back?
Normally we don't shoot further than 60 yards, but we can move them back to 100 yards. It depends when people are practicing to go to different tournaments. We move the targets where we need to move them.
Oh, okay. All right, great. Thank you very much. See, this is the friendliest place around. It seems like this recreation area never ends up here. And just as I'm walking out, I run into Paradise Park. I'm on this material I'm walking on, and it's actually soft under my feet. So there's a walking path right there. You can see some folks walking on it. This is really cool. I see some people fishing. And it looks like there's little boat docks up here. This is definitely kind of a unique area up here. Wow, pretty cool. Have to investigate this a little more. But this is Paradise Park, and this is right next to the recreation center. That was most of Paradise, and if we zoom in here a little bit on that map, on the villagesmap.org, you'll see part of that interactive map. And that was the archery we were at. And then there is a dog park right there, and there also is Paradise Fitness Trail, which kind of wraps around. You can see the path that goes around. That's it for Paradise. Let's move on to the next rec center. I think this is kind of important, and if you want to live at the villages, you need to know how to look things up, and part of that is looking up exactly what's going on in the regional rec centers and the other rec centers. And the best way to do this is to go to thevillagesdailysun.com, and under recreation right here, go to recreation and parks publications. Now, I did cover most of this. I'm not going to get really in depth to it, but I did cover this in one. I'll put the link up above or down below, and you can go ahead and watch that. I'd highly suggest you watch it because it'll help you find out things. But Recreations and Parks publication, and you'll come up with this magazine and go into the first page and take a look at, let's go to Paradise. So if you go to Paradise, and I'll zoom this in right here, you can look across the top and you can see everything that is at the rec center. You'll see right away that it does have a family pool. Now, when we get to the sports pool, we'll go over the regulations for that. We've already done that in the other videos. First thing you'll see is that it says customer service and guest ID. So you can get customer service and guest ID there. And then there's also at other regional rec centers, you'll see where it says at your service. And at your service is you can register for activities, you can purchase executive trail fees, you can guest ID services, register for the Enrichment Academy, which I'll cover that in another video coming up soon. And that's going to help you out get a lot of information about, well, really just about any activity you want to go to. And the next that we're going to go to is La Hacienda, just across the street. So let's jump on over to the magazine or the publication about the rec center. I'm going to run through this one time, and then when we get to the other rec centers and in 5, I won't go through this as much. And let's just go ahead and jump in here and do this. So the first page, page 3, if you want to look for this, just come over to this page 3 and look for La Hacienda, and you can tell it's on page 8 and 9. So we'll jump over to 8 and 9, and as you can see, the same information of what is there, you can see, and this is an at your service, so you can get those additional services that we just talked about. Then you can jump over to the village's map, and that's, I'll put the link up, and just start typing in you can go all I have to do is go La H, and there we go, and it's going to zoom right into that area. So we were just here up in Paradise. Now we're going to drop down to La Hacienda. And as I told you, these get detailed, so we can already tell that here is the facility itself, and we're going to jump in there, and you can tell it has a sports pool just by the shape of it, and we saw that in the magazine or the publication, pickleball courts and tennis courts. And we're going to throw the drone up right here to start with, and then move the drone back onto the backside a little bit later, and that'll give you an idea where we are. Now, just to the bottom of this is Spanish Springs, and that'll give you an idea of where we are. Let's go ahead and jump up into the drone. Once again, you can see how the Spanish theme kind of follows along, and as we peek over the top, Miramar Lake and the park right behind it with Spanish Springs. And I think it's really interesting how each of these improves upon itself and the personality of each one. In other words, the activities are in there. And I'll tell you what, once again, this is where I think I'd like to have a party, that's for sure, because this is really good. Now, if you look down in the lake, here's another activity that's not at other places or many places. The buoys right there are for sailboat racing, RC sailboat racing. And let me tell you something, I had a chance to talk to these guys, and they are technical. Take a look at these boats. I used to race sailboats, and this is just like a regular boat. If you compare the entranceway to this facility compared to the first one up at Paradise, you can definitely tell and get that feeling where things are starting to get a little grander, shall we say, or decorated with a little emphasis. And when we move on to the next rec center, you're going to see a total change, and that is, well, you'll see why that is. But anyway, this is a gorgeous view here. I really like this. And take a look from up here, and then we'll jump back inside. This is making a left right as you come through the entrance door. And the same as Paradise, you have the showroom or the theater room or ballroom or whatever you want to call it. But now all of a sudden the ceilings have raised up, and it's definitely a little bit more elaborate facility. One thing I've noticed is you can tell even by the chairs. Like if you go into Eisenhower, the chairs are embroidered as you go into each one of these rooms. These are more like a folding chair, but here is that warming station that allows a caterer to come in and cater, I guess, a reception either out on that balcony would be really cool or inside. The other side of the building you're going to see kind of follows the general trend of the multi-purpose rooms or craft rooms. And along these walls, you can see the artwork from obviously people that are at the villages. And as I've gone around from place to place and I look at the various pieces of art, there's some really talented people. And I can't wait to, when I get down there, to get more involved with the photography folks. And I hope they have some kind of gallery down there because that'll be really fun to go to. Once again, Julio Iglesias, and this is a multi-purpose room or group meeting room. But you can tell it's just a little bit nicer. And one of the other things that you can tell is the lighting is better. If you notice, the color was way off on everything. Billiards back then obviously was a big thing. And that's one of the cool things is you go from rec center to rec center, they kind of have their quote specialties. So if you were a billiards person, this is definitely one of the rec centers you'd want to come up to because not every regional rec center has a big billiards area like that. And to top it off, this is another multi-purpose room or a gathering room. We've had a chance to see two regional recreation centers in La Hacienda and Paradise. Now's when the history of the villages starts to kick in a little bit, because if you think about it, land plots were, I think, being sold in the 60s, and the Paradise Rec Center was built around in the mid-70s. We're going to go to the Savannah Recreation Center, and you're going to see a complete difference. Now, a lot of this, I believe, was due to Sharon Morris, who was the wife of Gary. And when Gary came in around, I believe, the 80s is when kind of things started kicking off in the villages. And when Sharon got involved, a lot of the decorating started upping itself. And you're going to see that in the Savannah Center. So let's go ahead and jump into this. And of course, we're going to have to check the map out. But anyway, let's get going. On to the third regional rec center. The first was Paradise, La Hacienda, and now in 2000, they completed Savannah. And this is definitely a gem. As you can tell, there's not much as far as like sports type recreation, but it is the first time you'll see the sports pool show up. You can tell by that square pool. We'll throw the drone up right here, right in front of the building, and you're definitely going to see a difference between Paradise and Savannah. Paradise and La Hacienda were more of a Spanish feel. This is a Southern feel, and you'll see that throughout the building and the way it's appointed. Even on the side of the building, the side entrance, which leads right into the information desk, is really nice with these giant pillars. And let's take a look at the sports pool. And as you can tell, there's just bocce and shuffleboard off to the side. No big tennis courts, pickleball, but they definitely make up for it on the inside of this building. A little different than Paradise, I think. And this is Sharon Morris. She passed away in 1999, but I think her fingertips were pointing towards all the decorating here in this building and probably carried out throughout the villages even today. She was definitely into the performing arts, and I think that's what kind of prompted this whole building and also the Sharon Center. But this building right here carries 850 as far as seating, and it's hosted such acts as Foghat, Merle Haggard, The Fifth Dimension, Drifters, Kenny Rogers, BJ Thomas. I think Blood, Sweat, and Tears is coming here soon. But this mural goes all the way, hand-painted mural goes all the way around the theater. The meeting rooms or gathering rooms, I don't think there are any craft rooms in here, just larger hall meeting areas. And these doors on the right will open up all the way down to this end of the hallway here. You'll see in a second. Higher ceilings, much more modern, that's for sure. And if you look at the chairs in those rooms, they're definitely a little nicer than the card chairs that were in the other building. Now, yeah, you're going to laugh at me, but we're going to stop in the bathroom here. And this is what I was talking about. All of a sudden, you get these really nice bathrooms and not even close to Paradise. So I think hopefully they'll upgrade Paradise in a little bit for sure. I hope. This is another meeting room right next to the other one. And as you can tell, they have little Christmas decorations in here, but not too much going on. These TV shows have started to show up around in all the regional rec centers and have a scrolling calendar on there. There's the U2 guy, the son of Gary Powers. I guess I should probably go see that with my background. Artwork, original artwork is hung all over the inside of this building. So if you like artwork, these cabinets, somebody told me that this was collected by Sharon or belonged to by the family. Not really sure. Nice little computer room here for the computer club. I'm sure they like hanging out in there. And like I said, chock full of information. There's always people around here to help you out. That was number 3. And I think the big takeaway so far is the fact that there's a lot of information at these regional rec centers. They're not the same. They all have their own thing, I guess. You know, the first one had the horseshoe pits and the archery. The second one at La Hacienda had the boats. The third one right now had this gorgeous theater, although it was, you know, there wasn't a lot of pickleball courts and tennis courts and that type of thing. But you need to keep in and check on each one of these. And I think that the thing that to keep in mind is I get a lot of people who write to me and say, oh, the Villages is too big. There's too much stuff going on. It is big, but you don't have to go out of your own little bubble if you don't want. But the nice thing is if you want to play billiards up in Paradise, there's a place or La Hacienda, there's a place to play billiards there. If you want to race boats, you may have to travel up to La Hacienda there to go do that. If you want to see a show, you go to Savannah. So there's all these different things that's what I like. I like that variety. And let's go ahead and jump on to number 4 as far as recreational centers go. And we'll get right through 2 of these as fast as we can because it's getting close to dinner time. We are up to number 4, Lake Miona. And of course, we're going to jump over to the maps. And I'm keep showing you these maps because not just to show you where things are, but to show you the maps and the publication on the recreation so that you learn to use them. Because when I first got here, it was kind of tough figuring out where everything is and exactly what was going on. And the more you become familiar with the publications and this map and how much information you can get off of it, the more you're going to feel at ease maneuvering around the Villages, and you won't be like me and miss out on a lot of stuff because, one, you couldn't figure out what was offered where and how to get the information. So let's go ahead and jump into Lake Miona. Now, this was actually, out of all these that I did, I went up to do this one. And on here, I say it's the last recreation center, but it's not. It's just the last one that I filmed. This is actually the last one on my stop, and it is Lake Miona. And I have never been here, so this will be kind of fun. I have absolutely no idea. This is on a Sunday. And there are a lot of cars here. I know that the theme here is nautical. And that's pretty evident right here. But let's go in and see what we got. Okay. Wow. This is really nice. I have to say, compared to Isel, this one's got a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot of people in here. Now, they're all basically the same shape, but I really like this one. Of course, with my sailing background, that kind of makes it really interesting. And so there's a lot of Christmas party stuff going on in here right now. So you can see everything's always appointed so well in here. And I'm not going to give you his picture, but they are doing like exercise, or this is actually, I believe they're teaching line dancing in here. So, and I'm definitely not a line dancer, so usually these lights come on, and in here, they're not going to come on. Wow. Here we go. Nice room. I like this a lot. Really nice.
Yeah, but we were paid because we were just riding the car. I said, what happened to this? Our car is parked.
Wow, great photography in here. I like the photography. Now, I gotta say, this photography compared to Isel is a lot more, I don't know what to say. It's just a lot better. And somebody said to me they should hire me. I don't know whether people know it or not, but I do have a photography background. I have a gallery. They should hire me to go around and shoot the golf courses around here. Really nice. Let's go see what's down here. And so this is the backside. This is right where I came in over here. But these areas are just, I mean, the decorations are, even to like just little bags on the ground and stuff. Just a really, really nice rec center. And this is, they are playing some kind of game in there. I have no idea what. And this is, as most of the regional rec centers have, arts and crafts type of things. And you can see some of these, there's definitely some nice art around here.
As I said, in the regional rec centers, there's a lot of information. As you saw, there's always a pile of those publications that come out on Thursday from the rec center, the one we're looking at digitally in the Daily Sun. The folks behind these counters are really knowledgeable. Most of them live here at the villages, and they're always willing to help you out. And it's just a wealth of information. And now you see a lot of these flat panels with the calendars kind of pop up around. Jumping outside, let's take a look at something we haven't seen yet, and that is kind of like a workout area that they have at a lot of the regional rec centers. I know they just put one in at Isel, which they just built, which is down south. We'll look at that in the last part 5. But I've tried these, and you can get a really nice workout. So if you want to go out and do some cardio walking and just step off to the side and do a little training, it's kind of resistance. It uses your body to instead of weights, makes for a really, really nice little workout. And this is the golf course right next door. I believe this is Pelican hole 6 maybe. So you're going to be having a really nice area to go out and work out around. And off to the side here, I believe we jump over here in a second, is the fitness trail. Now, it's not real big, but it's kind of like an agility type thing where you can do, I think it's like push-ups and you walk across these things, and it's good for balance. So you want to come up here, you can do a really nice workout. And like I said, you're in a really nice area right next to the golf course and the lake. Now, you may think I'm showing you the bathroom again, but not really this time. Right next to the bocce courts, and on the other side is the shuffleboard. And well, right there you have half-court basketball. You'll find a lot of times at the regional rec centers and the other rec centers, a lot of times they're put around the pools, is the closet where all of the like tennis rackets and shuffleboard stuff, and you see tennis balls. So you can just drop in without any equipment at all. And you can see there's the bocce, basketball, the stuff for shuffleboard. And not only that, there's bowling to do. I believe that's on the bocce courts. You play that. In these little containers right here, there's some pickleball paddles. You have all the rules to each one of those games. So it makes it really nice. This is the last of this series in part 3. Now, don't forget to go back and watch part 1 and 2. And soon I'll be doing part 4 of this, which is the second half. So this is the 5th out of these 5 regional rec centers, and then the other 5 will be in part 4. But this one we're going to do Colony Cottage. Now, Colony Cottage is your basic regional rec center. It has everything that usually is in the heart of a regional rec center. And we're going to run through this really quick. Now, the day I was there was during Christmas, and the Model Railroad Club was having its big show, and it took up the whole rec center, which was huge. So we'll just take a look at one of those rooms. But since it's during Christmas, you may also get to see another happy fellow there. And what it does have is a sports pool, which most of the more modern rec centers have is a sports pool. Not all of them, as we'll see later. And we'll go ahead and take a look at the rules of the sports pool. But let's go ahead and play in Colony Cottage. On the map, you can see Colony Cottage sits above 466A and alongside of Morris Boulevard. And it's just about kind of in the center of the Villages. Zooming in, Colony Cottage has all the, like I said, the basics: tennis, pickleball, shuffleboard, basketball, and it has a sports pool. So let's throw the drone up right above the sports pool and take a look at that real quick. As you can see, people swimming laps in the sports pool, and you definitely want to check out the rules and the schedule for the sports pool. Now, if you look on here, the sports pool, 7 to dusk, but the big thing is residents only 30 years of age or older. Residents only 30 years of age and older. And you definitely want to check out the schedule, and you can do that in the publication that we've been looking at that comes out on Thursdays. You can pause this and read it if you like, but let's continue this aerial tour of Colony Cottage. And Colony Cottage is the basic mold for the rec centers. No matter what they look like out on the outside, this is kind of what they look like. You got pickleball, you got basketball, shuffleboard, and right next to it, you have Havana Country Club. And this is the golf course. Off to the right is the commercial area. I love the flowers at a lot of these rec centers, and this is where some of your money goes. But to live in a beautiful place like this, you got to pay a little bit, right? You got to smile, because when you walk through these doors, there's some people having fun. Christmas decorations up. And it looks like there's some people in costume. I'm not sure what that's for. You never know what you're going to find. Pretty cool. So I see trains. And there's Mr. and Mrs. Claus.
Sit. There you go. It's always a Merry Christmas around here, isn't it?
Merry Christmas.
I love that stuff. Now, this is one of the larger rooms, and they probably filled 4 of these rooms over there. And this is the Model Railroad Club. But this is the great thing about the regional rec centers. They have these large rooms that can be used by everybody. That was the last of this 5, Colony College, in part 3. Don't forget to watch part 1 and 2, and 4 is coming up. I thought it was a lot of fun to see how things progressed from the 70s and on down the line. You go 2000, all of a sudden things start to really pop in the regional rec centers. But most of them, you can tell, have some kind of stage type thing, have a meeting room type thing, have crafts and different types of sports or activities. And it was actually a lot of fun for me going through each one of these. I learned a lot, and I learned about, I guess you could say, the things that are available in the villages. Is pretty incredible. The other thing too is I put those websites up there and the maps and the publications so that you can learn how to follow along with those and introduce you to those. But I'm going to get started on part 4. Thank you much for stopping in, and I will either see you in the villages or I'll see you back here on YouTube. Have a great night.